to get started. Grab your food, head to your seat. All right. Well, I've got 7 o'clock straight up on the clock here, so we're going to go ahead and dive right in to our popcorn training for the night. Couple of housekeeping things. Number one, restrooms. If you're not familiar with this building, if you go out this door right here that says exit, walk almost all the way to the other end, make your first left, go down the hall, restrooms are right there. If you get into another building, you went just a little bit too far, okay? But restrooms are right down the hall. Everyone here should have got a manila envelope. That's your packet for tonight. If you did not get one, they're right over here on the table next to Darwin. If you did not write your unit number on the board to my left, please do that really quick so that we give your unit credit for being here. We don't want you to not get credit for coming to the training. Another housekeeping item. In those envelopes that we handed out, some of you are going to have a $25 gift card. That is your gift. That was not an accident, and not everybody was going to get one. They were randomly placed and randomly handed out to you guys tonight. So if you were lucky enough to get a gift card, enjoy $25 of Visa gift card at your leisure. And no, you cannot go trade for another envelope, Sarah. Keep the envelope that you got. Okay? I didn't get one in my envelope either, for what it's worth. So anyway, let's get a little bit of introductions out of the way here. Just a lot of new faces in the room, which are extremely exciting. I will start. I am Brian Haverstick. I am the Chief Operating Officer for the Sagamore Council, which means I am the number 2 guy in our council. Alan Parks is our Scout Executive and CEO. He might be here in a little while. We have our contingent leaving for the Jamboree tomorrow morning, and they're actually sleeping at the office tonight to wake up early tomorrow morning and leave. And so he needed to let them into the office in Kokomo. So he may or may not be here yet this evening. To my left, Abby Thatcher, Ethan Keller, Darwin Nunn, Jennifer Vandenberg, Faith Rankin on the other end, Elizabeth Douglas to her right, Don Harper here in front of me. That is our council executive staff, with the exception of Don. Don is our council's chairman of our properties committee. So Don is actually filling in for Becky, who's our ranger here at camp. She is on vacation, so Don is watching camp and the dogs while Becky is gone. So Don is here. PJ over here to my right. PJ is our new Trails End representative that is here to support our council in our sale. PJ, how long have you been on the job now? Couple months. So, be nice. Okay? Be nice to PJ. Okay? Be nice. No. PJ's here to help. If he doesn't know the answer, he's going to get it to us. Whatever that answer is to the problems that we are having, that's his job as our customer service rep through Trails End. Okay. Darwin, will you pass out those white pieces of paper in front of you? Yep. So Darwin is going to pass around a piece of paper here real quick. Jot down any major item that you wanted to make sure that you got the answer to or got clarity to while you're here tonight. Okay? So we're going to take 60 seconds once you get a piece of paper. Write down any item or big ticket thing that you would like, hey, I'm going to go spend 90 minutes to 2 hours at a Boy Scout meeting tonight about popcorn. I need to walk out of here with X information. And then at the end of the night, we'll make sure that we got everybody's X's crossed. Okay? So we'll take about 60 seconds to do that. This is the audience participation part of the meeting. All right, now that everybody has one, you're on the clock. 60 seconds. Extra pens. Ooh, I might have a handful. Hang on. I probably have a couple in my bag. All right. I got a handful of writing utensils. Who needs one? Anybody else? Unprepared for me? Ah! Okay. Rock and roll. All right, last group of introductions before we get started is our council popcorn committee. If anybody on our council's popcorn committee could stand for a moment. Stand.
Remember the time, Brian, you told me to stand and I actually got shorter?
It's true, I remember that. When we work through tonight's slides and we're talking about our popcorn sale, rest assured that the decisions that we make for the betterment of our council is not made behind closed doors at our office in Kokomo with just Alan and I and our professional staff calling all the shots. Okay? It's made with all of those volunteers in the room with Alan and I calling the shots. No, I'm kidding. All of the decisions that we make as a committee is what guides the direction of this campaign, right, of this sale, okay? So if you have complaints, understand that the entire thing was put together by volunteers just like you, okay? And none of them would agree that they are perfect, right? But we do have a boatload of experience on that committee in terms of popcorn sales over the course of the last 10, 15 years. I think Britta's probably the most tenured. How long have you been doing popcorn, Britta?
Too many years, at least 10.
At least 10. At least 10. All right, very good. We're going to jump right in. We're going to jump right in. Hopefully, there we go. All right, so why do we use Trails End? Okay, all of these slides, I forgot to tell you, all of these slides are in your packet. So if you can't see from where you're sitting or the print is too small, they're all printed in your packet tonight as well. Okay? Well, why do we use Trails End? Okay? Trails End exists so that we can make scouting possible for every kid. Okay? That's first and foremost. Okay? We get convenient storefront hours that they handle securing for us. They handle all of our credit card fees. When the scouts get rewards that motivate them to do their best, that comes from Trails End as well. They got technology that helps you manage your entire sale from your smartphone. If you don't have a smartphone, if you're one of those rare individuals where your phone still flips to open, might be a little bit of a struggle for you, right? But if you've got a smartphone, you should be able to manage your sale. Most importantly, okay, that helps scouts build confidence and level up their leadership skills, right? That's why we participate in a popcorn sale, right? Is for all of those reasons, okay? It should be a video.
Welcome and thank you for choosing Trails End as your partner. We've got some exciting updates for 2026 and we can't wait to show you what's new. First, we have a new leader portal built with feedback from leaders and designed to run the entire sale from your phone. Storefront reservations feature better filtering and map-based browsing. We've added onboarding steps designed to walk you through storefront setup from start to finish. Leaders can now release unfilled hours, and full unfilled storefront reservations will release at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, giving everyone more opportunities to sell. We've simplified the finance section of the leader portal. It's been completely restructured so that you can clearly see what your unit has earned throughout the sale with no guesswork. Also, the simplified design will make it easy to navigate, and system training will be on the pages where you need it. Got a question? Click the question mark icon at any time and engage with support directly. We'll also keep you informed with new system notifications. Switching gears, let's talk Scout Rewards. Each point is now worth a penny, so every dollar sold counts, not just when Scouts hit another level. Credit, cash to credit, and online sales are worth 4 points per dollar, and cash is 1 point. Plus, Scouts earn bonus points for heroes and helpers. Other key upgrades, there are big bonus points at each sales level. Scouts with 100% credit sales can claim when they're ready, and leaders can now release rewards one by one. We're so grateful for your commitment to making Scouting possible for all of your families. Let's make 2026 your best one yet.
All right. Up first for our slate of speakers tonight is Marie Harvath. Marie, come on up. That's about as far as you get.
Hey gang, so first I want everyone to appreciate my vintage Trails End t-shirt. Down here it says, suddenly Colonel's Day in the Sun went horribly wrong. Alright, so you're dancing.
I will dance slides, yes.
Alright, go. So I'm here to give everybody a short training class that I call Leaders Portal Training for Dummies. And when I volunteered to do this, it was because I had a lot of newer unit leaders that said we go to the training and all we hear about is the commissions and what we're selling and how to sell, blah, blah, blah. Nobody tells us how to use the software. So I volunteered to give a little class on how to use the software, not knowing that Trails End was about to blow it up and change it to something entirely new. So I'm included in the Dummies collection right now, so bear with me. So first thing you need to know is the Leader Portal is not the same as the app that you and all your Scouts have been using to sell popcorn. It's a web-based program, but they have now made it so it looks and runs way better on your phone. So the place you get to it, if you haven't already, I imagine all of you have, is portal.trailsend.com. And it used to be it worked way better on your desktop. It was terrible on your phone. I've played with it this past week, and I think it's vastly improved. It's going to work very nicely on our phones now. And also I played around a little bit with the little help question mark and also their new AI assistant that they have named Finn. I've asked him a few questions and gotten good answers. So, happy about that. So what I'm going to do is just kind of walk through. I'm going to turn my back to you guys so I can see what I'm telling you. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly walk you through a bunch of the screens, okay? So this is your home page, and in the middle, you can scroll down to see your unit sales goal and your progress, what's coming up next on your calendar, what your storefronts are, your sales by type, your payment type, and your sales by product. A lot of that is off the bottom of my screen here. I should mention I took all these screenshots off of my laptop, so they do look a little bit different on our phones. So the menu on the left on your phone is actually across the bottom, but it's the same menu. So we're going to walk through those quickly. on your Scouts page, one thing you should know is that this list is not connected to your official Scout, My.Scouting or Scout Book roster. This is a separate roster. So if you have a new kid join your unit, you are going to have to take steps to get them into Trails End. Okay? And they have a link there that you can email to your parents so they can join. Okay? That's also where you find your unit code in the upper left. If you are out somewhere and you don't have your unit roster with you and you want to call a parent or whatever, right now the only way you can get it from Trails End is you have to export the list up there in the right-hand corner. And once you click on each kid's name, you get more details about their sales and their reward status. But what you can see on this page is how many hours they've worked, how many hours they've claimed, their sales, and so on. On the phone, you only get 3 columns: sales, inventory, if you've transferred popcorn to them, and how much cash they owe you because of what they have sold in cash sales so far. Next. So now moving on to storefronts. When you click on storefront, you get the weekly calendar view. And you have to use little arrows to scroll through each week to find when your storefronts are. I talked to someone at Trails End last night, and they said they are going to be rolling out a monthly view of the calendar. Thank God, because this is really a pain. So you can see in this example that on Saturday, September 19th, I have booked 2 storefronts that day. So I want to see what they are. Click on that line. Now I can see I have a storefront that I created for myself at the Howard County Vietnam's Veterans Reunion, and another fake one that I made last night just so I could show it on this slide. Okay. So if you want to find out the details now about a particular storefront, click on that. And now you can see over to the right, you can edit and add shifts there. In the middle there is where you can add scouts. Maybe other kids haven't signed up and you call somebody and they say, yeah, I'll sign up, and you can tell them, well, I'll put you in. You just click right there, open, and add them in. And if you want to remove a scout because they call you up and say, I can't make it, you would just click on their name and it brings you a screen to remove them. Next. Now onto the sales page. Okay, it starts out with just showing you what your sales have been. One nice improvement is there's these tabs across the top that you can use to filter. So you can say, I just want to see my storefront sales. I want to see my individual sales, which, by the way, I've noticed Trails End has taken the word wagon sales out. I did not see the word wagon anywhere. They're just calling them individual sales now. And if you want to actually see something about a specific order, you just click on it. Or if you want to enter a sale for yourself or for a scout who missed one, or if they're having trouble with the app, whatever the reason might be, the popcorn kernel can always enter or cancel sales for anybody in the unit. So once you click on the individual sale, then here's in the upper right is where you're going to see that you can refund the sale. When you click on the 3 dots. Next. All right, on your orders page, this is not your sales orders. This is our unit orders to Brian. So it just tells you the dates.
Yes.
We're having trouble understanding back here. I don't know if it's a close thing or what.
Is this better? Is this better? Do I just need to talk louder like Brian did? Okay.
There you go.
I can do that. I just feel a little rude yelling at everybody. All right, so orders page is just a calendar so we know when our orders are going to be due to the council. All right, on your inventory page, it's showing you what your inventory is and where it's at. If you, again, you've got filtering tabs in the upper left, so you can see what scout inventories are, or you can see what inventories you've moved to a storefront. Okay, and if you get done with the sale and it's all been converted to credit, or they were all credit sales, so you can't refund the sale and rebuy in order to fix that mistake, you can use the adjustment feature up there to tell the computer, oh, there's a mistake because somebody rang up something wrong. Next. Finance page is, I also think this is a nice improvement. Tells you your profit loss breakdown, your online commissions, and what your payout is at any point in a given time, and you can choose to initiate a payout at any time. Next. Okay, the reports. There's a lot of nice reports in here. I did not put them in my PowerPoint. Just go in there and play with them, okay? The one I use most is the master shift report. And at the end of the sale, when you're trying to figure out what you need to order from Brian for everybody's paper order form sales, or they have undelivered wagon sales, that's a report you will use to figure out what you need to order. So, next. All right, and then the settings page, you probably, hopefully have done this already, but you do this once at the start of each popcorn selling season. You enter all your leaders. Over there on the right, upper right, you can add a team member. You can, let's see. So that's what you can do on the leaders tab. The campaigns tab and the about unit tab are not live yet. I don't know what Trails Ender tends to do with those. Next. So here's your storefront tab. This is where you tell it how long you want your shifts to be, your default. You can change it on any individual sale, but your default, you can say how long you want it to be, how many scouts you want, and the date and time that you want to allow signups to enter, to begin. Choose your time zone. It doesn't really apply to us, but if you lived near a time zone border, where some of your storefronts were in Central Time and some were in Eastern Time, you would like this feature. And you can choose your split method, which is individual, which means if the scout's parent brings it on their phone, he gets the credit, or share it amongst the kids that are working that particular shift. Trails End has gotten rid of the split the whole storefront from beginning to end option. You can only split of what's sold on any given shift nowadays. Next. And here's where you put in your banking info. So that if all your sales were credit, it's going to end up the council owes you money at the end. So this is the way that they can get the money into your bank account. Next. That's it. So, a little tricky lesson.
Very good. It's weird that you hear me so much clearer than Marie.
Yeah, because you are not shouting.
So for those that are coming up, put the mic right to your chin, okay? Because it's definitely louder when I'm talking, and it's not just because I talk loud. Hope that was helpful. Recognize that it's small words on a big screen, 60 feet away from where you're sitting, right? But you have the slides in front of you, and you have the ability to jump in the portal and click yourself around and try to figure things out. It's not very difficult. It's very user-friendly. But I hope that part of this was helpful, just to kind of get a verbal tutorial on some of the big-ticket item things that you're going to need to do in your sale. All right, coming up next, Amanda Yander is going to come up and talk about unit budgeting and your annual program plan.
We've all set our unit goals before.
Don't make that sound.
Okay. So I just started messing with it a little bit last night. If you go in there and it says adventure plan on the homepage where you set your goal, it'll give you a bunch of different tabs like CSA fees, council fees, unit dues, advancements, things like that. You can fill in the numbers, and it's actually going to give you a breakdown of how much your unit needs to sell versus how many scouts you have listed on there, how much you need to sell to fund your program for the year. Okay? You should be able to then, share your calendar and your budget with the parents. Of course, the scouts can always go into their app and set their own goals. And like they said, this year it's new, where it's 4 points per dollar if everything's on credit. So, and that's, you do that, convert everything cash to credit. So, a lot more rewards to be made this year, is what it sounds like. Okay. I know Brian did print off for me. There is in your folder that you got, a prize sheet. That is something my unit used last year. That was our prizes. I know that's not going to work for everybody. We do base everything off of 35%. We know that's what we're going to earn. It's a base of 30%. If you come to the meeting like tonight, you get another 1%. If you send in your budget and plan, it's another 1%. We know we're going to hit the minimum of at least $25,000 for our unit, seeing as we have so many scouts. That's the 2%. And the other 1% is we go at least the minimum of selling $10,000. So that's where we get our 35% from, if that makes sense. So that is what we have found really drives our scouts to sell the popcorn. They love all the incentives that we earn, and you can see some of those on there. We've gone to Monster Jam. 2 years ago, we gave away a go-kart and a mini Jeep. Just some really awesome things. But it's just the way that we do use a Excel spreadsheet to break all that down and tell them exactly how much they need to sell and all of that. So if anybody has any questions over that price sheet or wants to know more about it, I know we stayed after the meeting last year and talked about it a little bit. I'd be happy to do that with you afterwards.
Just real quick,
Yes.
on the reward sheet, the Trails Ends giving, there's a big jump from a scout that sells $2,000 all the way to $3,000. It goes from $110 and the rewards to it goes to $250 just in that tier. So that's a big one the kids want to know about.
Are they going to do any the special rewards like they did, certain weekends and things like they did last year?
I've heard it mentioned, I haven't seen any dates on it yet, but I'm sure it'll be something like that.
Because I know last year for the BSA scouts, it was like an extra $750, like $750. So that made a big difference last year. So, okay. Is there supposed to be a video or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
A successful Trails End sale starts with a plan, and the Trails End Adventure Plan is your roadmap to a fun, active, and well-funded year, supporting everything from weekend campouts to high adventure trips and everything in between. Just click Start Onboarding in the Leader portal to access the Adventure Plan and build your calendar, set your unit budget, and create fundraising goals. Pro tip, bringing families into your planning meeting is a great way to find out what they want to do. When they're a part of the plan, they're more invested and more likely to support the effort. We suggest scout goals of $2,000 for Cub Scouts and $3,000 for Scouts BSA. This is very achievable with just a few hours at storefronts and selling to family and friends to fund an entire year of scouting. The Trails End app makes it easy to track sales and helps keep scouts motivated as they work towards their goals, one sale at a time. When families see how fundraising directly supports their scouts' adventures, they get more excited and involved.
Let's give a man a round of applause. How many of you are first-time popcorn kernels for your unit? You've never done a popcorn sale before. Raise your hand high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Stop. 7, 7. Okay, good. So, I recognize, and the rest of our committee will probably recognize, this is kind of like drinking from a fire hose on night one. Okay? A lot of information being thrown at you. We're going to talk a little bit later about tools and resources and things to help you get answers to your questions and make sure that you know what support systems are out there to ensure that you do have a successful sale. So don't feel like when you walk out of here tonight, you're overwhelmed with all of the information. This is a collective effort to make sure that we are all successful. All right, Ashley Robertson, come up and talk to us about the 3 different ways to sell.
Can everybody hear me? Or I can yell louder than I can with this thing if that's better.
Try it.
I'm better at just yelling than putting that thing up to my mouth. So, all right, so we're gonna talk about the 3 different ways of selling popcorn. You've got wagon sales, which now in the leader portal is called individual sales, online and storefront.
Sorry, I was eating.
You're fine.
You're good.
So with storefronts, when you're in your leader portal, you'll see the little button that says reserve storefronts. Look at reservations that are available. You can search if you have a specific city that you're looking for or a specific store that you're looking for. That will narrow your searches. And then they'll tell you how many are available. You click the reserve storefront button, and that'll go into your storefronts. You should select the 1 scout per shift. That works best for scouts to earn their money. If you've got 2 or more scouts, they need to be together. That's absolutely something you can do. But scouts will earn more rewards and more money if they're working 1 scout per shift. You can make the shifts as long as you want or as short as you want. I do a Cub Scout pack, so I don't do more than 2 hours for a scout. That's about as much as they can last. If you're at the troop level and you want to make it longer, you can edit how many shifts you have on there. And then they also did pre-assigned hours this year. They went this morning, I think, Rick, today? Yeah. Where if you had pre-assigned hours, they should be in your portal now, so you can see that for each day that was scheduled for you. And then we have gone cashless if you want. You can still take cash, but your phone has become your scan or your square reader for your cards. You should be able to just tap it. If you have an Apple, usually it's on the very top of the phone. If you have an Android, it's on the back of the phone, right underneath your little camera. And it should be able to take anybody who has a tap. You can also still manually enter those credit card numbers if they don't have a tap and you don't have a place for them to insert a chip or a way to slide. But you can also still use those. So if you already have square readers that take chip or take a swipe, you can also still use those. So plenty of ways. Google Pay, Apple Pay, all of those QRs will still be available. So when you hit pay, they'll pop up with a QR code and they can pay from their phone as well. And you would be able to also, if they have like their Apple Watch, they should be able to tap their Apple Watch to the back of your phone to take payment that way as well.
All right.
I think the important takeaway from Ashley's part there is you want a very diverse sale, right? You don't want to put all of your eggs in the storefront basket. You don't want to put all your eggs in the individual sale basket or the online basket, right? If your scouts have a diverse sale, they're going to have a better sale, and your unit is going to benefit the most from that. They will benefit the most from that because they're putting a little bit of work into multiple lanes as opposed to just staying in one lane.
Next up, Britta is going to talk about our unit storefront management, logistics, and realistic application. You're up.
So I equally probably have a loud voice and don't need the microphone, but if anybody can't hear me, just raise your hand or write a score on the back and raise it up and I'll know that you can't hear me. Sarah, that's not you. So we will start with these slides because I didn't make these slides, but we're going to go over these slides that came from, I believe, Trails End, maybe Brian, I don't know. Trails End. And then I'll go over what I will cover for actual storefront application and logistics. So we have a lot of new things this year when it comes to the storefronts, and some things changed from Trails End. Hopefully, maybe not this year, we don't see it as an improvement, but hopefully as we continue on next year, we will appreciate and see more value in this. Because it is a new thing this year, so we're all just kind of figuring this out together. But they have improved unit onboarding, as far as what Ashley was talking about. In the storefront setup, you have a lot of options to go through, and you get to actually choose where you want your storefront circle to be. So you can, I think, narrow down that radius to, I think, a 5-mile radius. So you can go very small to very large, and that's going to be for those auto-assigned hours. So any unit that had set up their adventure plan, they should have gotten some kind of auto-assigned hours yesterday, even if that maybe was only 8 or 16 hours. Everybody that previously signed up should. So you have control over that area that you're getting signed up for. So in the past, we have in general, as a council and as our quote-unquote VIP top sellers, we have all opted out in the previous years for this VIP program. We really can't opt out anymore, and we're gonna embrace what the VIP program entails. So they tried this year to give us hours based on that radius and based on those sales that we put in as a projected goal. They also took into consideration other things that it asks you when you're doing this. So if you haven't done it, please do go back and do this. Ask you things like, how many storefronts can you manage in a day? So you get control over that. If you say I can manage 4 storefronts, then that means that Trails End might assign you 4 full storefront shifts for that day. So make sure to note that doesn't just mean, oh yeah, I can handle, but do you have the scouts to cover 4 8-hour shifts throughout the day? For me, I can't. I don't have enough scouts to cover that. I can physically manage 4 storefronts, but I don't have enough scouts to cover 4 storefronts in one day. So, all of these things here, you also, up there, you get to choose blackout dates. So if you know that your unit is going camping, if there's a council activity, things like that, you can black out those weekends. That is also a great feature to use, so that you don't get those auto-assigned hours for a weekend that you can't use. All these were complaints that the people who did participate in the VIP program in the past have made, and so these are all improvements coming from that feedback. Council-specific claiming, so ours start tomorrow at 7 o'clock p.m. You can start manually picking anything. Everything that was auto-assigned was assigned yesterday and distributed. From there, so you do have to do that. Those are like the days before our initial orders, close dates. So those dates are calculated according to our order date, which is August 1st. Is that correct? Okay.
And wait one second, Rick. I know there's some questions about the storefronts that you're seeing in the system that are or are not there. In some of the communities, we're not seeing the Walmarts and Sam's popping up into the system. We've noticed, PJ, that we've got some Lafayette area stores have been assigned to storefronts that are 45 minutes away. So we're gonna have to work through some of that, but
If we see something weird like that, let Brian know, he'll let me know, and
Okay.
we'll work through those one by one. We won't back away from those, we want to get those fixed.
okay. Is there a reason why, like Sam's and Walmart locally aren't showing up in the system as secured?
I was told that what's actually happening is Sam's is actually getting less hours this year.
Okay.
Overall, so what that means is we as a company can go to them and try to get back the hours that we have.
So is it fair to say at this point that if Trails End has it secured, it is in the system?
I would say that's a fair statement. Can I verify that 100%? Cannot.
Okay.
But
So-
I feel like that's correct.
I know that we do have the Sam's and the Walmarts locally in Lafayette, because some of those hours were allocated, but then I also, through a meeting with our storefront representative, I got to see a bunch of everything that was going to be either auto-assigned or available. At that point on a meeting with her, she had all of those already loaded and available. But, so I know that we have them, but I do also can tell you the hours are different. So in the past, maybe Sam's was 8 to 8. It might only be 10 to 5 or 9 to 5 or 10 to 6. Lowe's in the past has been like 8 to 8. Things like that are going to be different. I don't know about, you know, if we have flexibility there to adjust those hours, but from what I have seen as what has been distributed. Melissa.
So if we're one of the units that is messed up severely, I assume since the Walmart and Sam's have been assigned other units already, we have no chance of getting them.
Well, I would say this, about 45% of all storefront hours last year went unused. That was even places like those places, so keep your eye out. There will be openings, there will be things that, you know, if you don't need hours, something comes up, you can release them, so somebody else
Right,
can
because
have
Sam's is the number one. If you don't have Sam's.
I get that, but they've reduced the hours. Like say, I'll give you an example. Say last year they let us have 400 hours at a store. I've heard that some of them are only giving us 100 this year. So we're working on trying to get that to the way it was, but ultimately that's a Sam's Club and a Walmart decision. And we've got to try to crack that nut on our own.
No, that didn't answer my
No,
question.
so-
I talked to my representative customer rep last night, and she said last year Samsung gave 260 some hours. This year they gave 80. So there's way few hours available. They've been allocated to somebody else yesterday. I didn't get any either. There aren't going to be any for us to get unless somebody.
So unfortunately, Melissa, that probably does answer the question. Unless something is released, I've asked PJ, I think yesterday or this morning, the days are all running together, to get us a list of what storefronts have been secured, so we can see and try to make heads or tails about what is available versus what's not available, and we're working on that. So,
Maybe make some trades.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
So many, well, right, well, I can already give somebody in Monticello, but my unit is in Lafayette.
Sure.
Almost every single one of my storefronts is in Monticello, except for 2. That's, I have Ace Hardware, but almost every, I would trade whatever, but
All right, let's keep moving forward, because we're not going to solve all of these problems in real time.
Brian sent you that report.
Okay, perfect. Brittany, go ahead.
So the key is, right, next year, what do we take away from this? We can't maybe not fix anything this year, but next year, if there were some glitches with Trails End, you know, I have full confidence that they will work through those. But as far as units that are new here tonight, or you didn't go through this and do this ahead of time, know how important this will be. If for anything other than my pack that doesn't sell a whole lot at this point, still had 2 storefront shifts auto-assigned to them because I completed that prior to 2 days yesterday. So a unit that sold $1,200 last year, I have 2 8-hour shifts guaranteed already for them. So that is truly the benefit. You don't get everything that you need. I think there's another slide on here. Let's keep going, because that might or we can skip it when we get there. So this talks about here 2.5 hours available per unit within, against the previous year retail sales. Kind of just gives an insight to Trails End as to how they determined what your auto-assigned hours are going to need to be, as well as, I think, the next slide. Here, what those units got. So if there's any incentive here, to sell $10,000 of popcorn, you get 50% of your budgeted hours allocated to you through auto assigned there. If you sell 30 to 60, you get 100% of your budgeted hours auto assigned to you. And then that 60 plus units have that one-to-one meeting with the storefront team. So we all have access, I believe in that VIP 10 or more, you all have access to that storefront team. As far as communications, emails are sent out if you fall into that bracket. This is where the unit onboarding is. You set your pack or troop goal, your unit goal, and then they do give you a recommended sales to cover based on what your fundraising goal is. So lots of good things in the Trails End app that I feel like Ashley's already covered a little bit. What else we got? This is the radius circle I was talking about on the map. You get to adjust that. So you can move that around if you only want to deal with the south side of Lafayette, or you only want to deal with West Lafayette, or if you're in DeMott, you can widen your, circle. So lots of options there.
Melissa, that may be where things went awry for your unit. If your radius was set too large around your unit, that's probably why the system picked up those storefronts. I can't guarantee that, but knowing how the system is pulling them, that may make sense.
And I understand that, but the fact that I didn't get a single one in West Lafayette, and we're in West Lafayette today, is kind of.
Sure, I understand that.
Well, and it just very well could mean that other West Lafayette units narrowed their radius to really small. I left mine at, I think it was like a 7-mile radius. It wasn't very big.
Yeah, well, I think that was again, because I thought that, by looking at the radius somewhat, being flexible, that we've got some storefronts in our area,
Sure.
and there are secondary storefronts, like if we were running 2 on the same day, so I was trying to be a team player, that didn't work very well.
Sure.
And I don't like this competition-based kind of attitude toward this. This is putting a lot of work on our volunteers and a lot of heartache that actors do. So, that's just, I love you, Britta, it's not you, I know.
No, you're good. Talked earlier about this, you're given the option for blackout dates. Ideally this is while it does, there's an incentive, right, to sell more popcorn so that you get better things. It's really not about necessarily getting better things. It's about making things easier. And it's, at the end of the day, that's the ultimate goal, is to make things easier to auto-assign those hours. Because I can tell you, as a unit that sold $25,000 last year, I slept through the free-for-all pick, missed it by 45 minutes, and 45 minutes later, there were no shifts available in Lafayette whatsoever. So the only thing I had last year, to start last year, was the 2 free picks that I got for being a top seller the day before. Because I missed out, because free for all, and you figure it out, pick up the pieces, and don't make that mistake to sleep through those alarms again. But it happens. They are designing the system right to make it, if it's a free-for-all, I could equally say it's not fair that I'm a top selling unit and I got 16 hours and now I have to go out and struggle. That's not what it's about. They're trying to do what is best and make the best to improve everybody. Because I can stand here and tell you that 12 years ago, this was not an option. And the people that sold in Lafayette specifically, because I cannot speak for any other town or area, were my unit, and that's, I think there might, I don't even know that there's another unit that sold popcorn at a storefront, because people were not willing to go out and do the legwork, to contact stores, to do all of this. This is all a benefit provided to us now by Trails End. And as somebody who previously did all that legwork on my own, this is a miracle. I don't have to call and beg Sam's, which never worked. I could get into Walmart, I could get into Lowe's, I could get into when there was a Marsh. That's how long I've been doing this. And even whatever, what was it, Needlers that came after that, they let me in there. Rural King, all those places. But this is truly, while you may think it's about a competition, it's really not. This was done to benefit every unit, because otherwise, and the council as a whole, because otherwise there were 2 units out there selling at storefronts. And that's a missed opportunity, because 2 units can't do all the storefront selling to benefit the council. So this truly only benefits the council as a whole. But it is what it is, that there has to be some way to divvy it up, and they're trying to avoid giving hours to people that are not willing to use them and claiming them just to claim them. So it's based on past sales and what your goals are and those units. So, we can skip past that. Already really talked about all the problems. So before I go to Jeff, I have some other non-storefront cleaning related topics, but storefront related, that I would like to go over about what is truly, which is what I actually thought I was up here to do. And then Brian last night said, hey, I added some slides for you. So that's all the stuff from Brian. But for me, what makes a storefront successful is honestly making it as easy as possible for your parents. That is way more work for you, but the only way to get parents to do this, because especially at a Cub level, it's the parents. The kids you can motivate with prizes, but you've got to get the parents there for any storefront. The kids can't bring themselves, they can't sell by themselves. You have to have parent buy-in for this. So it has to be as easy as possible. So when I say I do everything for my storefronts, I mean I do everything for my storefronts. You as a parent have to do nothing but show up with your Scout, because the table, the cash box, the popcorn, everything will be there for you, and I will be there in the morning to set up that storefront, and I will be there in the evening to tear down that storefront. You do not have to count money, you do not have to count inventory. The only thing that you have to do is ring up the sales, show up with your Scout, and I ask parents to not bring a chair, because I have the expectation that if I expect a Scout to stand in front of the table and be there for 2 hours, I expect myself to be able to stand there for 2 hours and not sit in a chair. Sitting in chairs, I think, looks terrible. Just my personal opinion. You walk up and somebody is sitting in the chair, the Scout's sitting in the chair. I don't really care. I'm just going to keep walking by your table. I make as much eye contact with people as my Scouts do. Primarily because if the Scouts are making eye contact with them and you're making eye contact with them, not to be like you're guilting them, but you've made that eye contact. Are they going to keep walking? They might, but they're going to feel really bad about it. And a lot of people are going to turn around and talk to your Scout and buy something from them. So the other thing is, I have a no phone. I know everything we do is on a phone in that aspect, But same thing with my scouts. They cannot be on their phone for 2 hours. Their friends will still be there. Their games will still be there. I am highly addicted to my phone. I will admit it. My husband will tell you. There have been ridiculous things I have done with multiple iPads and things just to play a stupid game. But if I can stand there for 2 hours and not play on my phone, then my scout can. And if I'm asking them to, I'm also having that same expectation. The same concept of when a scout's on their phone, when the parent is on their phone, people are judging you, right or wrong, but they're making an assumption. So unless I need to be on my phone because I'm making a sale or I'm managing the popcorn sale, that's always a really hard one when you've got other things but you're trying to sell at the same time. But those are all things as far as a sale goes that I have done that really make it successful as far as getting people to sign up. Because if you have to ask somebody to show up at your house, pick up product, and set it up, nobody is going to want to sign up for that first shift. And nobody's going to want to sign up for that last shift because that means that I have to take that stuff home or whatever the arrangements are. Over the years, I have built a small foundation of parents throughout my unit that have traveled with me from Cub Scouts to the troop level that now do help me, so I don't 100% manage this on my own. Because, by the way, my son eagled out 2 years ago. He'll be 20 next month, and I'm still here. So I appreciate all of the extra help that I do get from some of those parents. So you don't have to do it on your own, but you need to build a popcorn committee that is a small group of parents willing to take on that responsibility for you and not putting it on everybody that's signing up for those storefronts. The other things that I will just mention that I feel like are important, I know a lot of times Trails End suggests only 1 scout per hour or for a 2-hour shift. From my experience, I like to give my families the flexibility, so instead of requiring a 2-hour commitment, I set up all of my storefronts for 1-hour shifts, and I set them up for 2 scouts. Because even whether they're Cub Scouts especially, they often have to go to the bathroom or they need a break, and so having 2 scouts there allows that flexibility that you can let a scout take a break, walk inside the store, take them to the bathroom, and you're not having to take the cash box with you, leave the product outside, and hope that nothing happens. From a general Walmart, Sam's, those busier locations, they're busy enough for 2 scouts. Because otherwise, while your scout is making that sale and bringing the customer to the table, there's 6 other kids, because a lot of times these people want to talk to the scouts. They want to know, they may be past scouts. I've had them ask, what's your favorite thing? Tell me the scout law. What are you raising money for? All those things. People want to have those conversations. And in the meantime, you don't want your kids to be rude and just be like, okay, sorry, thanks. Do you want to buy popcorn? You want them to encourage them to talk to the person that's buying popcorn from them. But in the meantime, there's all those people walking out the door. So it's important to have those 2 people there to really maximize those sales. That's all I think I have on my notes.
You did good.
So,
Jeff, you're up.
All right, well, thanks, Britta. And she was saddled with maybe the most contentious issue that we ever have to talk about around the popcorn sale, and I don't envy her having to have had to do that. But I just have to say that she's absolutely right about the storefront setups, that you have to make it as easy as possible, and yes ma'am, no chairs. So I think I kind of surprised Brian a little bit by an email. I didn't quite understood that. I'm here to talk to you. I don't want to like read the PowerPoint to you. You guys can do that. And this comes from being at Purdue for 22 years now, working in live events and seeing lots of professors use 2-point type and then just stand here and read their PowerPoints to you. So I'm going to reference some of what's up here. I've got a lot of different ideas, and you can pick and choose the best ones for you, because of course it's going to be very individual to like what works for your unit. You know, what's the composition of your unit? You know, what's the socioeconomic level of your unit? What's how many scouts you have? You know, all those things, you know, play into it. But one of the things that I've been kind of most passionate about over the last little while of being involved with Popcorn is that so much of this, because Trails End is serving a nationwide population of scouts, and they've got to serve everybody, is that there's so much about like, how do we set this up for individual units to be successful? And that is super important, because, you know, if we go down to the granular, we're super concerned about like making scouts successful and then making units successful. But then we should also be thinking about the fact that we need the district and the council to be successful. So, you know, don't forget that while there's a lot of this, like I need this, it's my storefront hours versus your storefront hours, at the end of the day, like we're all just one big team, you know, serving scouting. It's not supposed to be a competition, so let's try to remember to find ways to work together, because, you know, I think every one of us is probably here in the room because we currently have a child who is a scout at some level, and, you know, at the end of the day, like, I'm really glad to help give everybody else a great scouting experience, but from an entirely greedy standpoint, I'm here to make sure that my kid has the greatest scouting experience. Next slide, please. So, inter-unit communication. This is how you talk to your unit, your scouts, your parents, your scouters. So you got to have a calendar and a budget. But if you're anything like me, you know, you kind of create it, and, you know, that's great. But you got to talk to everybody about it, and how you're going to talk to everybody about it is going to be, you know, a little bit different. You know, you're not going to put your full Excel spreadsheet in front of a tiger. You know, that's obviously not going to make sense. But, you know, when you're talking to your parents, you know, having some concept of what it is that you're doing and the why of your doing is going to become important. It's going to kind of depend on how your structure of your unit is set up and how you're setting up your fundraising, what your particular goals are. I am what I call a dyed-in-the-wool true believer, the absolute crazy. Our PAC 3326 at St. Mary's has for the last few years provided free scouting to absolutely everybody in our PAC. And that requires a ridiculous commitment to fundraising and being real passionate about it. But maybe a Cub unit is going to do some sort of leveled fundraising, where perhaps you're going to have, you fundraise to a certain level, you sell a certain amount to fund awards for the year. Maybe you get to a second level and you fund your activities for the year, and maybe you get to another level and you actually pay for your registration fees for the year. You know, that's going to be, you know, that's kind of going to be a decision for your committee to think about, and for your parents to think about how you're going to structure that fundraising. And of course, you got the difference between a Cub Scout unit and a Scouts BSA unit. And I think because of kind of the reduction to the mean of a national program, that I think sometimes that difference gets lost a little bit, because how you think about, you know, an elementary age scout versus a middle school or high school age scout is going to be, you know, a little bit different. For, you know, at a Cub Scout level, you're going to be talking to the scouts about incentives a whole lot. You know, you're going to be talking about the pool prizes and awards. And then at Scouts BSA, you might make the argument that, yeah, you should be talking to the scout a little bit more, because the scout should be, you know, taking a little more, you know, self-actualized journey through scouting. But, you know, let's accept the reality that, you know, the parents are still driving the bus, quite literally in many cases, especially, you know, these younger scouts, you know, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds obviously don't have their driver's license. They literally like to get to the storefronts to go out and do sales. You can go, you know, enthuse the scout all you want, but if you don't get the parent on board, if you don't get them to see why they're doing it, then it's not going to matter, because, you know, the 8th grader is not going to go home and convince his parent without your help. So a couple of different ways that we do this and to work through everybody structurally. I send out a weekly fundraising email. This is completely separate from a programmatic email. In an ideal world, it would be nice if we had enough volunteers where your programmatic people and maybe your fundraising people weren't the same person, sort of thing. You know, like your Cub Master maybe getting up in front of the pack and being constantly pitching, you know, selling popcorn is, I think, maybe not the ideal image. But you know, the reality is, you know, there's not enough volunteers to go around. So that's the reality. But at the very least, I try to go, hey, I got emails. This email is about fundraising. This email is not about our next, you know, PAC meeting. It's not about our next camping trip at the troop level, whatever that might be. But you know, constantly communicating throughout, so that you're getting updates. It's not, hey, welcome to scouting, because it's an unfortunate accident of the calendar that our scouting year starts at the same time as our fundraising year. But you know, who wants to go stand out in front of a storefront and sell in the middle of January? So you know, all things being equal, I'll take that. Welcome back to scouting. Welcome to scouting. Go out and sell some popcorn. It's an unfortunate thing, but you know, we lay out, okay, this is what we're doing, and this is the why that we're doing it. We're doing it for free scouting. We need everybody to go sell X amount of popcorn to get to Y amount of fundraised dollars in order to actually give you free scouting for the year. And then, you know, on a weekly basis, we're going, hey, we've sold $5,000 through this point. Hey, in the last week, we've added another $3,000 to it, and now our top seller is this sort of thing, and just constantly keeping communication with the scouts. Leadership teams is kind of an interesting concept in the concept of, I think, a lot of the stuff that we've talked about tonight, as far as like storefront setups and one person kind of passionately doing everything. I think that was, as with all leadership positions in scouting, my experience as a Cub Master and Popcorn Colonel and all the things is that people will take tasks, they will not take jobs or titles or positions, sort of things. So, you know, you can certainly, some ideas that have kind of worked for us, and again, these are like maybe things that maybe don't like have an official title, because we're trying to keep it casual, we're trying to keep the people engaged. You can have somebody that maybe is your storefront setup person. Now, is that, you know, maybe that is somebody who like goes out and does it, you know, at every storefront. Maybe it's somebody, maybe you have a small crew of people that, you know, you trust can go out and go set up at the beginning and end of a shift on a weekend. We've had really good luck the last couple of years with neighborhood sales leaders, where we will find a family who's interested in doing wagon sales, door-to-door sales. Apropos to Brian, you know, talking about the fact that you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Door-to-door sales can be, I think, a little scary and a little intimidating, and quite honestly, I think a little more scary and intimidating for the adult than it is for the scout. You know, the scout will happily go knock on somebody's door and go beg them for money, sort of thing. It's actually really, really easy. I just kind of stand back on the sidewalk and just kind of, you know, let my kids do their thing. But we've had really great success with saying, hey, on Saturday at 9 o'clock in such and such neighborhood, you're going to meet at this person's house, and then you're going to fan out and go hit the neighborhood. So that's a great way to get people engaged, and it gets them engaged with the sale, with the actual like boots on the ground sale. But pretty quickly, that kind of gets the hook in their mouth, and then you can start reeling them in to do a little bit more, because then they start learning a little more about the details, you know, the inventory management, the back end of like, you know, you're going to physically get this product, but like here's how we're tracking the product on the back end. And so suddenly, you know, you've got some people who know a little bit more, so that when the sale comes around next year, you can go, I know you're not quite ready to take over completely, but you got somebody that's like got some knowledge, and that's been really successful for us for the last couple of years. And then one that I noted down as I was putting this together is an incentive manager, and this is one that I really kind of failed at really kind of badly last year, was staying on top of our incentives. And at the end here, I'll talk about what what some of the incentive ideas that you can use to go and encourage your scouts and your families to go out and sell, but maybe getting somebody whose job it is to keep track of all of that tracking and who's getting pack incentives and the wheres and the whens and the actual like going out and doing the shopping and giving them out, or if there are events like booking events and doing all of those things. So how do you engage the families? How do you convince them to go out and sell? Well, you're going to get the true believers. I think that those of us in the room probably lean a little towards that end of the scale. Maybe a little, maybe some of us are a little crazier than the others. But we really preach at our pack the greater good. We are a Catholic pack. We are proudly and loudly, a Catholic pack. So. I really kind of approach it from the social justice standpoint. We want everybody to come and have a scouting experience with no barriers. So you know what? Yes, you can write a check, but the person who can't write a check doesn't have the time to go out and sell because they're working multiple jobs to put food on the table for their kids. So I am really appealing to that greater good aspect. That works for us. So that obviously, like being a unit that is chartered by a faith organization, that dovetails in like really nicely with everything. But at the end of the day, the Scout law kind of covers. A scout is reverent. You can very quickly make that case, but that's just one way. However it is that you set up your reward system, there are a lot of rewards out there, and I know that you can go out and incentivize the scouts to sell, and again, you got to communicate with the parents because the scout can like have this dream of getting the go-kart. But if the parent's not willing to do the work, that doesn't really matter. But on the rewards front, the Trails End incentives I think are actually really great. The amount of money that my kids have spent on Amazon in the last 4 or 5 years is just absolutely disgusting. The amount of Lego. This year we bought bows. But that's baked into the system where if you start selling, you can get some pretty awesome dollar level rewards for that. And our top sellers in our pack are out there getting on a regular basis, year after year, $300, $400, $500 in rewards, and they can go like directly spend those at Amazon or 20 other gift cards. The council incentives, I think, are really cool and a great way to go out and talk to your scouts and talk to your parents. And I think this is one that starts to tune a little more into the parent side of communicating with your parents. So this coming year, it's $1,500 for a Cub Scout to get free Cub Adventure Camp or day camp, and then we're going to do the $1,000. We'll get those in a few minutes. I know that Brian will talk about what the incentive might look like for Scouts BSA, but that has been an important one for like our family and other members of our pack and our troop to go and get free camping experiences in the summer, whether you're at the Cub Scout or the Scouts BSA level, and that is one that certainly starts to speak a little more directly to the parent, because we all know that summer gets really expensive when any kid wants to go out and do a week of camp here or a week of this thing here, and pretty soon it's $500 here, $600 there. What's $5,000 between friends sort of thing. So go out, put in some hours selling, and you can start to pay for these experiences, and now you're talking directly to parents. And then finally, you can do unit incentives, and you can do small things, you can do big things, and essentially you would take this out of your profit and pay for it. And little things might be just some little like dime store, little tchotchke sort of thing, like, hey, you sold this week, everybody gets a pick out of the bag sort of thing. But you can also come over here and talk to Amanda Yeager from DeMott, and she's the one, I'm the one who picked her brain last year about their crazy incentive program, where you sell X amount of dollars and you get this, and you get to 7,000, you get this, and so on and so forth, and topped out like with a go-kart. It has worked amazing for you guys. I mean, you guys have sold like near enough $100,000 in the past, haven't you? Almost $90,000 in one unit. So, it's absolutely amazing, what that did. I'll say that particular incentive concept didn't work quite so well for our unit, which is like just really illustrative of like there's something that like kind of like works for everybody, and it like really rocked for DeMott, and something else kind of really worked for us. Getting towards the end here, make it clear what the fundraising goal is versus the actual dollars that you're funding. So the difference being, if you go, we're going to get roughly a third of the sales of the gross sales dollars, paid back to the unit. So for every $100 sold, we're going to get about $33. It's on a sliding scale depending on how much you sell and everything. But for rough estimates, just use it as a third. So if you need your parents to either pay you $100 or go out and sell popcorn, well, they need to go out and sell $300 worth of popcorn. Kind of really make it clear if that's that's the split that you're going to make, that you can write me a $100 check or you can sell $300 worth of popcorn. I have had parents confused, probably bad communication on my part. It's like, you know what? I sold the $100 worth of popcorn. No, it was $300 worth of popcorn. You gotta go out there and sell more. So like really make it clear if you're gonna get into the weeds about talking about the fundraising, what that is. Next slide. And then the next two slides really just talk about like the Trails End app and the fact that you're going to log everything into the app as you sell, whether you're selling at a storefront or selling wagon sales, and that wagon sales can be door to door, can be your co-workers at work that you're guilting into buying popcorn for you. Everything goes into the app. Somebody mentioned paper, and I just jokingly said, "What is this paper you speak of?" sort of thing. Like if it's not in the app, for me, it doesn't exist. Sort of thing, and it's got the apps for all our contentious things about storefront and everything. Like the app's like really amazing. The fact that you can do tap to pay, the fact that you can do cash to credit, so that somebody somebody's hanging on to a few $100s of cash at the end of the night. They can choose to go deposit it in their bank account and then just do cash to credit in the app. You don't worry about handing over cash at the end of the night. But like the app is as a sales tool to make it easy for families to go out and fundraise. It's just second to none. I just can't say enough. And when I say like it's second to none, like it's the only one out there that I'm aware of that's like anything like that, with all the built-in features, the fact that they're covering commissions on the on the credit card, credit card fees, and all of that. And then obviously at the end of the sale, you can go in, and I thought this was a cool thing. I learned this tonight, that you can actually do your Scout rewards, as you go. I don't know that I would personally do that, but you can. You can get your payout and everything. And then one note before we hit the two video, I think it's two back-to-back videos that are in here, is I'm going to third the 2 Scouts at a storefront as should be the default. I have personally had to go out to a storefront so that a parent could take their Scout to the bathroom. I think it's a horrible idea to think about one Scout. That's what I got. Here's a couple of videos.
In the interest of time, I'm going to email you the 2 videos, and we're going to bring Chris Stewart up to talk about social media and support.
Chris. I'm trying to find him.
Where's Chris?
Where's Chris?
Where's Chris?
I'm seeing pretty beats though. I mean, I wasn't even looking to actually talk. Okay, so social media support. So I was gonna wear a tie, white shirt, black pants, glasses, I do not though. So this is going to be brief. There's some quick ways to find some support if needed. One of the biggest and main ones that I'm going to talk about is the Facebook app. I'm assuming that QR code. So that QR code will go straight to the Facebook page. This Facebook page, many of us popcorn kernels, I say us, I'm actually not a popcorn kernel. Many of the popcorn kernels are on that page, and this is how we communicate with each other. Again, there's that word we. But if you need help, or if you have any questions, this is a great way to reach out to other popcorn kernels to get that help. So please take a few minutes maybe, scan that QR code, and sign up for that page. I do think you have to be approved. I'm assuming if you're here tonight, you will definitely get approved. So please go ahead and take a few seconds to do that, and then we will move on. Let me go back real quick. Sorry. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. I gave you guys extra 2 seconds there. 2, 1. All right. Okay. So this is on the Trails Inside. So I didn't get to play a whole lot, but I did play a little bit. So something new this year, Trails In has a cool AI bot. So if you do have questions on that end, you can go in there. His name is Finn, or her name is Finn, or its name is Finn. But this bot basically goes, you can ask questions, and they will walk you through how to do that on the Trails Inside. They also have a ton of videos, as well as how-to sheets that you can print off. They have a guide for parents, and they have a guide for leaders. So they said they also have a bunch of videos as well. So, and then this is their Facebook page for the Trails Inside as well. I am going to be biased, and I'm going to say I would join ours because I feel like you're going to get more people in this room support. Local, yes, thank you for that word. You'll get more local support, which is going to be very important, being local. All right. And that's the neat thing. All right, so this is going to take you to the leader portal. It has changed this year, so it looks a lot different. It is actually a lot cleaner. I kind of did get to play around with it a little bit. It honestly, I felt like it was very much more user-friendly. But that QR code will take you there. When you are there, if you go down to the bottom, you will find the option to get support when you go on the right side. All I know is the right side, very bottom corner. And then you just ask for support, and that you'll ask me if you want me to talk with Finn, or if you want to email someone, so on and so forth.
Good job.
That's it. All right. Thank you. Back to my pizza.
All right, we've got 2 presenters left. 2 presenters left, and then we are done for the night. I hope this is beneficial for everybody, especially the new kernels in the room. Again, I hope this is not drinking from a fire hose too bad, where you're just kind of turning us off at this point, because the next presentation and the following one are going to kind of be where we bring this all home. Okay? We've talked about how to sell and the technology and all of these things, and now Sarah's going to talk to you about how do you actually physically get the product and what does that product process look like. So, Sarah, you're up.
Okay, so when Brian told me that I was gonna tell you guys about ordering popcorn, I thought it was really funny because almost every year, mid-sale, I'm going to my friends and I'm saying, hey, do you have any of this? Because I ran out. But I think I tweaked my process on how I would order a little bit better this year and how far out I was kind of like using my data. So on this first slide, these are the main points that I would include when you're thinking about what you're ordering. So review storefronts. For all of the new kernels, do you have access to last year's data for your Packer troop?
They should.
I think they should. I think you should, but if you don't, we can try to direct you in Trails End and how to find it, or we can direct you to that information as well. But when you know what your hours and sales look like last year, that can help you kind of formulate a plan for this year. And then the other thing I would look at is when you have all your hours, at least for the first 7 weeks, whatever you have figured out, do the locations, are they the same as last year or are they different? Because we all know that locations vary in the amount of sales that they have per hour. So like we heard, the Walmarts, the Sam's Clubs, right? Like we know that those are our hot ticket locations, especially in the Lafayette area. But I have really great luck at a couple very specific gas stations that I go to. And so I know what those sales look like too. But the other ones, right, like they might be mysteries because they're new to you for the year. And then wagon sales. If your unit is big on doing wagon sales, or we give out something that we call a wagon kit. So the family signs out a certain amount of popcorn, and then they'll give it back. But what happens is you'll have 10 families all trying to get that kit, and if you don't budget in a little bit of extra product to do the wagons, then you have nothing for your storefronts starting week 3. So remember to include that in there as well. Let's see. The other thing that I didn't put on here, but like incentives. If you have within your unit a specific weekly sale incentive, or I think Brian's going to talk about the weekly sale incentive that the council is going to do. But if you know what's happening there, then if there's a week for wagons, you're going to want to have your kids with wagons for that week. So you need to have enough product for those types of things. The next item is knowing your resources. And I put scouts there because I think scouts are our #1 resource. So having a pulse on what that return looks like, especially at the pack level. I've been a Cub Master for our pack for a few years now, and it's a retention thing that I think we get a whole lot of new scouts, but we sometimes lack in having that retention for some of those new scouts each year. So a pulse on what your returning scouts could look like. Also, if your scouts are now in the age of sports, fall sports impact how many are going out and what those hours might look like for them. Who are your top sellers from the previous year? Did your top sellers cross over? Right? Like that makes a shift in what you're doing for that year. But your other resources are also your parents. So I've had a lot of luck talking with my parents ahead of time, similar to what Jeff talked about with having the parents, the families knowing what the plan is, what the goal is. They constantly remind me that they want to do popcorn. They want to have this available for their scouts. They need it for their family resources because they have multiple scouts in. So this pays for their summer camp activities. It pays for their scout dues. They don't pay anything for scouting at all because of popcorn. The other resources to be aware of are your leaders. What extra support can you lean on? Popcorn is, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, it's 10 weeks, right? 10 weeks of doing multiple storefronts each weekend, each day, can get really exhausting. So if you have a vacation in there, or you have a weekend trip, or something like that where you can't be the one that supports your unit, do you have another leader that can step in for you so that you can still get that break? And then know your goal. Being realistic of where you were last year, where you're planning to go this year. Do you have big ticket items that you want to cover? Like, is there a high adventure camp that's coming up? Is there other things that you need your unit to help support your families with, things like that? Next slide. Excuse me. So what I tried to do is I pulled the information from what it looks like in Trails End and what Trails End was providing. And I wanted to kind of tee that up with how I've been kind of trying to do my orders. So on this slide, you'll see this is what Trails End recommended for me in their auto-populate for the order. My goal is 60K, and they recommended under 30K to order. I'm gonna say that seems really low, unless we were reordering on the 3rd week. That would be a real struggle, especially if that was including wagon sales, and my goal was 60. Excuse me. On this side that's a little harder to see, they do, in the Trails End, they will give you your percentages from last year, which is somewhat helpful, except what it does is it includes your helper and heroes and helpers, which you're not ordering. And it also includes any chocolatey pretzels, which you're not ordering right now either. So those percentages are harder to figure out on the slide. What I added in under the minimum need side is what that percentage looks like based on their auto population, just so that you see, when you get the slide deck, you can see it a little bit better, but it shows what it said was my percentage and then what Trails End pulls out as what that percentage looks like. Okay, next slide. So I am not an Excel whiz, but I know just enough to help me in this space. So I know how much I think I should do based on last year's data. So this little box over here says 2026 data, but it really should say 2025. I'm going to estimate from weeks 1 to 7 and pull that information from my sales, because that will get me hopefully through about when the second order will come out. That gives me some wiggle room. So last year, weeks 1 through 7, I had 326 storefront hours and 38,000 in sales. I also looked at my total wagon sales and my total online, so that can kind of be a piece of what I put into that puzzle. So I also, the smaller box on the left, Trails End did their percentages, but I pulled the percentages without the helpers and heroes and without the chocolatey pretzels, so that I could see exactly what my storefront sales were. Oh wait, sorry. Storefront and wagon sales were, what those percentages look like throughout that entire sale. Without helpers and heroes and without chocolatey pretzels in the beginning, because that's not part of this first order. So based on the 2025 data, I know I'm probably going to have at least the 326 hours in those first 7 weeks again. I do know that I lost 2 of my top sellers because they crossed over. So I will probably lean towards the 2026 data, that 28,000 in sales, and then also 5,000 in wagon again. So I'm going towards 42,000 as my initial order. It's a big number. It gets a little scary when you see a really big number. But then I was able to pull through Excel, I kind of spaced it out and what I thought would meet those same percentages. I wanted to see what Trails End also said for that. So it's a little different, and you'll be able to see it a little bit better when you have the full slide a little bit closer and you look at it at home. But just keep in mind, Trails End does a decent job, but if you know a little bit more about how your sales go and what you feel in that previous year and stuff like that, then I would keep that in mind too. That is about it. I did want to add one thing. With Jeff was talking about inter-unit communication, and then Chris talked about our Facebook page. The Facebook page is really helpful. That inter-unit communication is really helpful. Like, having us all work together throughout the sale for different things is probably the reason why we're all still in this room, the ones who have been here for more than 1 year, because we have people that we can lean on when we need that help. It could be you have run out of white cheddar and you need it for tomorrow, right? Like, it could be the fact that you have a middle shift that you need to release, that like you just don't have someone, but you know someone else needs some shifts. So it's working through those spaces. Communication on the Facebook page works really well, but I also find that like grab people's phone numbers that are in this room so that you can say, hey, I know you're looking for this, I've got it. Or I need some extra well, not chocolatey pretzels right now, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I am out of salted caramel and it's my Scout's favorite and we really need it for this weekend. You're gonna find someone if you have the text, if you're having that communication. I think we're all in it together. So that's what happened.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right.
Brian, on the sea salt, the formulation has changed, so it tastes a lot better.
Good.
So FYI.
You couldn't hear that in the back. They changed the formulation of the sea salt to taste better than the previous iteration. Which brings me to a great point. Raise your hand if you have ever made a mistake. Raise your hand. Anybody in the room? Raise your hand. Linda? Never? A scout is trustworthy. Linda is perfect. All right. So, I made a mistake. Okay?
I made a mistake.
No, I'm taking this one on the chin. PJ, hush. I asked Trails In for our updated information for our sales form. They sent me the form. I sent it to the printer, and I didn't check to make sure that the form was right. It was wrong. So then I fixed it. And by I mean Elizabeth. Because the form was missing chocolate pretzels. So if you look on your form, the chocolate pretzels looked in a different font, and there was added in a column on the back. Everybody see that? Okay, great. Except you also see popping corn in the middle of the columns on the back, and we don't have popping corn in our sale. So, that is a sea salt product now. So here's what we are going to do. You're not going to take these with you today. You're going to throw them away, and I'm going to get new ones printed, and I will give them to you when you pick up your show and sell product in a couple of weeks. Okay? So, we will recycle them, so it'll be good for the environment, but do not take these and distribute these to your people because they are wrong, and I don't want to use something that's going to confuse people. Okay? So, do not take, yes?
I just realized I missed something very important besides this as you were talking about this. The other thing that I've had from a storefront perspective, which I'm keeping some of these, Brian, because they don't need to be recycled, but I laminate this for the storefront so that's another one less thing nobody has to bring with them. It goes, this little piece of paper fits nicely in the top of the cash box. The corners get bent a little bit, but laminated, it's great. It withstands the rain. So I'm keeping a few of these to laminate because the backs don't matter.
That's fair. That's fair. But please, do not distribute these to your families. When you pick up your show and sell order in August, I will have these for you, and you can take them at that point. Okay? My apologies. I didn't double check before I sent it to the printer. Question?
You said no popping corn?
No, there is no popping corn. The front side of that is accurate. It is the back side that is wrong. Bless you. The front side with the pictures is correct. The back side is wrong. The back side should have been subbed out sea salt for popping corn. Okay, all right, moving on. I am the last one before we go home. So stay locked in, a couple more minutes, and we're getting out of here. Okay. All right, our timeline. Okay, very important. Very important timeline. August the 1st. This is your first deadline walking out of here tonight. August the 1st is when your order needs to be placed. So all of the legwork and stuff that Sarah was just talking about, you're going to want to do that legwork between now and the sale, or between now and August 1st, so that you can place your show and sell order. For the new colonels in the room, it does not cost you money to place an order. You're not buying the product. You're ordering the product. Okay? It doesn't cost anything up front. That is probably one of the biggest questions that we get up front is, well, we don't have enough money to purchase X amount of product. No, you just need to order it. We pay for it later. Okay? So that is the first date that you need to be concerned about is 8/1's show and sell order. Unless you are one of the units that had RSVP to come tonight, but had not gone into the portal and committed your unit to sell for this year.
where you started to put your goal in and your information and such. Okay, there were a couple people, Deanna maybe, and Craig, I think were the two off the top of my head. I could have been wrong on that, maybe it wasn't Deanna. Lynn, Lucy maybe? I don't remember. But there were a couple of units that had not committed to the sale. That step needs to happen also. Show us how orders are due to me by August the 1st. If it turns to August the 2nd, it's late, and you're holding us up, okay? Because we have to evaluate all of those orders, then we have to place our council order with Trails End. That's gonna take X amount of days for them to process, so that we can then turn that around sometime between the 12th and the 14th of August back out to you, okay? Distribution will be very similar to in the past. All of the product is going to come into our warehouse here on the south side of Lafayette. We will invite all of you to come help us sort that product. Kokomo's product will get shipped over to the office. North Star's product will get shipped up to Camp Buffalo, and the greater Lafayette area will all pick theirs up from that warehouse, okay? And it's those 3 locations, okay? If your unit sells, I think it's $25,000 or more, we do a home delivery for you where we package up all your product and bring it to your home, as opposed to having you figure out how to move all of that product to your house. Okay? So we'll work through those details, but that's the same as it's been in the past. Okay, so a little bit of flexibility between the 12th and the 14th. As soon as we have a finite picture of when that distribution is going to happen from Trails End, which should be Tuesday of that week, then we will figure out, okay, product comes in on Tuesday, we sort and stage on Wednesday, by Thursday it's in your garage. And it's that quick of a turnaround so that you're ready to start selling that first weekend, that Friday. Okay? So that happens in August. October 18th, the sale ends. That's 10 weekends. 10 weekends of sales. No one is standing here telling you your unit has to sell popcorn for 10 weeks. If 10 weeks is too much for you, do 7. If 7 is too much, do 5. If 8's not enough, do 10. You know your goal, you know what you're trying to get out of this financially, put the work in accordingly. But we do a 10-week sale, okay? At the end of that 10-week sale, you have a chance to return some product back to us. We'll get to that here in a second. You're gonna place a final order for anything that you don't have, okay? And then we'll do that same distribution cycle again, okay? 10/23 is when that return deadline is, where the return deadline happens. Final orders are due 10/23. Basically between 10/18 and 10/23 is your opportunity to not have to worry about selling product. It's reconciling. It's giving you 5 business days to figure out, what do I have, what do I need, what is still in my garage, and how much do we have to order here at the end, okay? So we give you a little bit of buffer there, okay? Final order is due on the 23rd. Our Malibu Jacks popcorn incentive will be just a week later, okay? So it's a little bit earlier this year. So I'll get more into that here in just a second. That final take order distributions in November. And then if you have a balance due to the council, meaning you owe us money at the end of the sale, that's due on December the 1st. Okay, moving on. Commission structure, okay? This is how much money your unit is going to make, okay? You're gonna get a 30% base on anything that is not online product. So it's not online sales, okay? Don't confuse online sales with I'm doing it on my phone. If you're doing wagon sales or you're doing storefront sales, that's commissioned at 30%. If you're sending a link out to family and friends across the country, they're buying things online, it is shipping them directly to their house, that is an online sale, okay? So 30% base. If your unit sells, if your unit grows over 2025's sale, so whatever you did in 25, if you grow this year, okay, you get a 2% kicker. If you sell over $25,000, you automatically get a 2% kicker, okay? We don't want to punish somebody that sold over $25,000 last year because they didn't sell that same number this year, okay? If you attended tonight's training session, raise your hand. Okay, good. You earned a 1% bonus commission just for showing up tonight. Okay? When you get home and you work on your budget and that popcorn plan that we were talking about earlier, you're going to submit those to me in an email. That's going to get you another percentage kicker. Okay? Because everybody's going to be successful if they have a plan and a budget. Right? For every $10,000 your unit sells, you get a 1% kicker. That is cumulative. Okay? Or excuse me, not cumulative. Excuse me, not cumulative. So if you sell $30,000 worth of popcorn, you're going to get 3%. You're not going to get 1 plus 2 plus 3. Okay? Bonus commission. If we hit our council's goal of $590,000 worth of product, the top 20 units within there are going to get a bonus kicker. Okay? Online sales, we talked about those just a few minutes ago. Those are commissioned at 35%. And if you're sitting here today and you say, you know what, we're not going to do any wagon sales, we're not going to do any storefronts, we're going to do online only. Okay? We're going to do online only. I'll commission you at 50%. Is that what my recommendation is? Absolutely not. But if it means you're going to do the popcorn sale to that degree and not take on any other component of this, I'll commission you a little bit higher. Everybody cool with that? Okay.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
You're going online only. It is legitimately online only.
Correct.
That
is correct. Yep, that is correct. And that's probably not for the people in this room, right? We've got 40 units, I think, across the council right now that aren't committed to selling popcorn. If I get one of those units to come on board and just kind of taste this, pun intended, right? Do the online sale, they make a little bit of money, they see this isn't very difficult, maybe next year they come full board. Make sense? Everybody good? Okay, so that's our commission. The top 200 sellers in the sale get to go to Malibu Jack's for an incentive party. Okay? The top 200. The top 100, they get to go for free. Guests, siblings, parents, etc. pay for themselves to go, but we pay for the top 100 to participate in that event. Okay? And they're going to get a patch for their uniform. Okay? The second 100, so 101 to 200, they get an invitation to come to that event, but they pay for themselves to attend. It's no different than what we've done the past 5 years. Okay, nothing's changed. Okay, so they get an invitation to come, but they pay for themselves and their siblings and parents and whomever else is coming. It's $25 for them to participate. A 3-hour private party at Malibu Jack's would cost a random family over $150 to attend. Okay? It's way cheaper to come on ours. Okay? In order for scouts to qualify, they must be in the top 200, and this is the part that has changed. They got to hit a minimum of $1,000 in sales. Okay? They got to hit a minimum of $1,000 in sales. So that is one small change. Okay? Questions on Malibu Jack's? And if you remember from the slide previously, it's literally 1 week after orders are due. It's going to be a really quick turnaround because it's also Halloween. So we're going to have a fun costume contest, some other fun stuff, and then they get to do that in the morning from 9 to noon, and then you can still do all of your Halloween plans the balance of the day. Okay? All right, moving on. Any Avengers fans in the room? Handful? Okay? So, we're going to do a doomsday drawing once a week. Okay? I'm not going to go through all of those individual things. You can look at those on your slideshow when you get them or in the papers in front of you. But scouts are going to be put onto a wheel. We will literally spin a wheel for all qualifying scouts each week. And then those scouts will earn a pass to go see the new Doomsday movie later this year. Okay? Our intent is that this is a private showing for all of our people that qualified, and then we're going to have a spinny wheel at the event where they can spin the wheel and win some prizes while they are there. the question was brought up to me, I think it was last night or 2 days ago, I don't remember. Well, what happens if a scout is too young that qualifies and the movie is rated too high for them? Can they gift that to somebody else to attend on their behalf? Yes, no problem with that at all if they want to gift that to someone else, okay? This will likely be a PG-13 movie, as most of the Avengers series are. There is not a PG movie or a G-rated movie coming out in this timeline that makes sense. The only thing that is close is Angry Birds, and it releases Christmas week. We will not be able to get into any theater in our council's territory in Christmas week to go see Angry Birds. So this is our option at this point, okay? What's that? This is the best we can do at Cary Camp. And the Wi-Fi is shoddy. So, all right, so more to come on this as we get into the sale. In our weekly Colonel Journal that I send out, more information to come. Moving on. Okay, big change on this slide. We are only doing free camp for Cub Scouts this year. We saw such a small number of Scouts BSA members achieving this incentive and then subsequently redeeming it. So we've taken that incentive off the table. We are working on a replacement incentive, but it is not confirmed yet. Okay? I will let you guys know as soon as we get it confirmed. Okay? Our hope is that we're able to just gift them an additional gift card that they can redeem, but our hope is that it's for scouting things only. But we're having a difficult time finding a gift card that works with our POS system, and I use that term literally, in our office. Okay? That's point of sale. Point of sale. Okay? So, that point of sale system is not very user-friendly, and getting a gift card that is scannable, that will track how much money is left on that gift card, it's very challenging for us, and we've not found a solution. So I'm working on that, but more to come. But for any scout that sells $1,500 or more, they earn free Cub Adventure Camp or day camp next summer.
Hey, Brian.
Yes?
Are you going to offer the, if you sell 2,500, the parent can still free as well?
You know what? We did that this year,
Yes.
and we added that on in the middle of the sale. That was not something that we discussed as a group. I don't see a problem with it. Let me circle back with our committee and make sure that that's something that we want to do. But knowing that we added that midstream last year, I don't see it being a problem. Ladies?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, sounds like we're doing it, Sarah. I love how this committee thing works. All right, can someone email that to me so I remember that? All right, thank you. All right, our prize program, just for your edification, okay? We invest $43,000 of the money that is raised through this popcorn sale back into these incentives that we've been talking about all night, okay? So the gift cards that we're gonna get from Trails In, those Amazon gift cards, okay? Those gift cards cost us about almost $18,000. It's basically 3% of our sale, okay? And then all of the incentives that I'm talking through right now, we invest back into the program, okay? So that's just for your edification. Okay, no change from last year on our return policy. Our return policy is 10% of your initial order, okay? Your initial order. So, if you ordered $30,000 worth of popcorn on August the 1st, when that's due, you can return 10% of that number at the end of the sale. Now, people in the room that are new might be saying, well, why 10%? Because about 3 years ago, we had $75,000 worth of product returned at the end of the sale because we did not have a limit. I see your head shaking. Okay? $75,000 worth of product is a $25,000 hit to our budget. Okay? And it's product that is now sitting in our office, in our storage unit, that we can't do anything with. Hopefully Trails In works with us at that point, and we can offload some of that to another council, but there's no guarantee that that can happen, right? We try to use some of that to take down our Heroes and Helpers donations a little bit and kind of use some of that credit that direction, but there's no guarantee there. So we have to put a cap on this. So when we order $400,000+ worth of product in the next 10 days, I know on day one how much product can be returned at the end of the sale. Okay? And not a penny more. Okay? You're going to place a mid-sale order perhaps if you need product in the middle of the sale. You're going to place an order at the end of the sale. Those additional orders don't count towards your return. Okay? Now, I don't care what physical product you turn in at the end. If you submit a second order in the middle of the sale and you brought in 3 extra cases of salted caramel corn and none of it sold in the latter half of the sale, and that physical 3 boxes of popcorn gets turned back in, that is just a part of your 10% return. So I'm accounting for percentage of those dollars, not the physical product. Does that make sense? Okay. Boom. Moving on. Okay. Whoop. As mentioned earlier, our goal is $590,000 in this popcorn sale. Okay? $590,000 broken down into each geographical district. 50,000 of that coming from our online sale, 540 coming from the traditional sale. If we hit that goal, we're in good shape. If we don't hit that goal, it's not a good look. Okay, moving on. Transfer forms. This has been updated. This form, they come in a book of 24 triple carbon copy papers. So a white, pink, and a yellow. Britta's got a book right there from 2003. 2018. Sorry. It's white, pink, and yellow carbon copy. They come 24 books 24 pages to a book. They are useful for you when you are distributing popcorn to your families to have a tracking mechanism. 1 second. They're helpful by way of a paper trail, right? If I give popcorn to Kelso and he's taking X amount of product for his scout, I need to know how much they took so that I can go back into the leader portal and put that they took $1,500 worth of popcorn. But if I don't go do that leader portal straight away, I'm probably going to forget what he took. Not if I have that piece of paper. He signed that paper, I signed that paper, now he's on the hook for that product. If they don't turn that product back in, or the money associated with the sales, you at least got a paper trail that you can go back and say, you stole something, sir. You lost it, you got to pay for it. Something to add?
Only 2 cartons, white and yellow. One for the.
There's no pink. There's no pink.
2018.
All right, I was just kidding. There's no pink. White and yellow. Hey, I made 2 mistakes today. Okay, it's been a good day. Oh, and those books are $7 a piece. All you have to do is send me an email that says my unit wants X amount. We will figure out the payment side, whether we take that money out of your scout account at our office, or we can debit to your popcorn account at the end of the year. We can work out the $7 or $14 or $21, whatever we need to do. Okay? All you gotta do is send me an email and do that by July 31st, because those books will be ready when you pick up your show and sell popcorn. Okay, almost there. Storefront banners. We've got a handful of these banners left from last year. They're $25 a piece. If you want one, send me an email. I don't remember how many we have. We are also going to place an order for additional banners that have yet to be created. I will get that image out to you in the next week or so, and you can let me know if you want a storefront banner. The idea around these is you hang them from your table while you're doing your storefronts, and it's a good visual to the community while you're selling. Brian, are those 4 feet or 6 feet?
Pardon?
Are those 4 feet or 6 feet?
6. If they're the same size as last
Yeah, I think, yes, 6.
year. How deep are they?
Deep enough from the table to the floor?
Because sometimes I've got, my memory's old, like, so they used to come taller than a table, and they were kind of.
Yeah, no, we pared that down to fit table height to the floor.
So I take and I put Velcro on my tables that I use for my storefronts, my 3 tables, and I put the Velcro. FYI, if you use your tables outside of popcorn, you should use the soft part of the Velcro on the table and the rough part on the banner, because otherwise when you go to use them for things other than popcorn, the rough part just snags everything. But that way, and they fit. Some of them, depending on your table, you might have to adjust it right around the corners a little bit, but I still use them on those 4-foot tables. They still touch. They just touch the ground. You can use bungee straps to tie them down to the bottom of the table legs, things like that.
Correct.
Tie
Say
the
something?
product under the table.
Same banner design as last year.
No, we're going to create a new banner. I just haven't got it done yet. So hopefully in, what is today? Hopefully next week's Kernel Journal that'll come out will have the new banner, the new banner imagery and sale deadline on those. Okay? Everybody grab that white piece of paper that you started with at the beginning of the night. That you wrote down what you wanted to get out of tonight's meeting. Because we just hit the 2-hour mark, which is where I was hoping we were going to finish. So we are spot on there. But I want to make sure that if you wrote something down, excuse me, if you wrote something down that was not covered, we hit that real quick. Sarah.
PJ, this is something for you to bring back. What really needs to be fixed in the storefronts is that we need the ability to add more shifts into the storefront hours. So currently there is an option to edit the shifts that are in it, but not to add more. So if you're changing the hours for shifts, there's not the option to create more shifts in it.
What I would suggest is
I have a paper for you.
okay, what I would suggest is go into your app, to support, and bypass spin and go right click human agent and tell them that. They'll get it plugged in right.
So go straight to Trails in support with that.
And here's the nice thing about Trails In. Our developers on the app, they're on site in Indianapolis. It's not like they're in China. They're here. And we can do pretty quickly. But yeah,
Kelly.
Quick clarification on the storefronts auto dropping off on Tuesday. That Tuesday every week. So like everything we just got signed up for yesterday is going to drop by next Tuesday?
No.
That is
That's the start. That's all.
It is for the weekend, the shifts for that weekend. So in August, that first weekend of the sale is the 15th, 16th, 17th. If the Tuesday before, so the 12th or whatever day that is,
Yes.
if you do not have one scout signed up, that's all you have to do is have one scout. Doesn't have to have 2 scouts on a shift. One scout needs to be signed up, and that will not auto release.
So tomorrow when we sign up, if we're signing up for September, that's not going to auto drop off. I don't get somebody on there.
Correct.
No.
Great, that's what I need.
The other thing too that I don't think anybody mentioned with the storefronts is part of the setup. You get the option to choose when you want your storefronts released and available for your units to sign up. So you have that option. If you do that tonight before you claim shifts tomorrow, your shifts will be that way. Otherwise, you'll have to go in and adjust each available time on each shift, and that's a pain in the behind. Because so, for example, I don't have any mind set to go until it's different for the packets than it is the troop, because the troop meets year round, so I can have a kickoff sooner with them than I can with the pack. So the packs sign up opening shift dates are later than the troops. So you can accommodate
What
that.
about what's already in the portal right now? We go in and change our default. We need to go in and manually change what.
Anything that's already been assigned, yes.
All right. Any other white paper questions? Yes.
If Scouts was a hub that crossed over to Scouts,
The troop has to add them to their roster.
No, the pack can transfer.
You didn't let me finish. The troop has to add them to their roster, or the pack can transfer them over. If they have any login issues at that point, it's probably a user or a password issue, and support can help with that. So, 2 different ways to get them there. Yes, ma'am. No. Your sales plan and budget for that bonus commission is not due to me until like August 15th, whatever that. It's the show and sell pickup day, whatever day that falls on. So yeah, no, you got plenty of time for that. Plenty of time for that. Any other white paper questions from the beginning of the meeting? Okay. For all intents and purposes, we are done tonight. All of the resources that you have in your envelope will be available on our website, on the popcorn page, so you'll have access to all of them. The PowerPoint will be there as well, along with the recording from this video. This was recorded tonight, so you can go back to that as well if you need to. If you've got questions that you didn't want to ask in front of everybody, we'll stick around for a few minutes, but it is also 9 o'clock and I got to go pick up a kid from a party. So we got to get out of here at some point. Thank you guys so much. Have a blessed night and a great sale. One sec.